If I could, a look at alternative modular educational institutions. The following video is about the idea of introducing a new type of educational system, which will most likely be applicable at a university level. These universities would probably be called something along the lines of modular educational institutions, which for brevity's sake we'll be referring to as MAIs. So, what would MAIs consist of? Rather than the current university degree system in the UK, where individuals join a linear course where they're given several module choices each year, which they need to complete at standardized intervals, a modular system would be different. Imagine doing 2 months of mathematics, then feeling like you want to dabble in psychology, then 2 days of biology fieldwork. While knee deep in the mud collecting potentially new species of flies, you hear one of your peers talking about someone who is the new Einstein of mathematics, giving a lecture on the other end of the country, and being allowed to go. Imagine if all of these experiences would count towards your degree, a unique experience instead of qualifications for a unique individual, a personalized string of lectures and fieldwork resulting in one-of-a-kind ideas. This potential type of institution will be looked at by comparing its system and ideals to what we currently have, or have had in the past in terms of education. Is it actually practical? How would this be funded? What are the logistics? Hopefully this video essay will help to answer these questions and more. Looking at other schooling systems like those available at A.S. Neill's Summerhill and various Montessori schools shows the radical departures from the norm in terms of education are possible in or alongside our current system. Policies created for the United Kingdom school system have had sudden and impactful changes on how people see education as a whole. The Sandon Act made it a parent or guardian's legal obligation to ensure a child gets educated, whereas before there wasn't really as much of a standard. This led to more schools being mass created in order to meet the demand and more children being educated. The Education Act of 1944, which is also known as the Butler Act, made a separation in the school system. Suddenly secondary schools were created. These acts show that abrupt developments in the education system are not unheard of and can lead to these changes becoming the norm. The education system can be changed, even if it might seem unlikely. A modular system may be a better alternative, and if an improved way of working is possible, then perhaps examining this newer system is worth it. Rather than being stuck on one path of education, a modular model allows the individual to have choices and alter their educational experience where and when they see fit. Currently in the United Kingdom, the majority of students choose their degree courses before they turn 21 years old. These courses are often a 3-year or longer commitment, which many may not be able to make straight after leaving the mandatory schooling setting. 21 could be considered too early to make a choice which impacts the rest of a student's life. When students are selecting university degrees, they often don't know what exactly they want to do, what's the true nature of their courses, or what companies want them to know. As such, allowing students time to find themselves by participating in bite-sized MAIs could result in a more competent and happier workforce. Additionally, changing courses once one has been selected is difficult due to time constraints such as the small window needed to enroll in the course and monetary restraints such as getting student finances approval for funding. As such, some may fear changing their courses and either stay on the course they don't enjoy or leave the course entirely. This could be considered a waste of time and resources since nothing could be said to have been gained with only one module being completed in the traditional system. The United Kingdom has been seen to have a university completion rate of 79%. This could mean that out of a total of 533,890 students who are accepted into UK's higher education, 112,116 students leave the university system with incomplete degrees. In a MAIS system, this type of retainment number couldn't exist as each module is a qualification in and of itself. Having an open-ended degree where every module can be taken means there's the potential to break inter-institutional barriers, meaning the physical barriers caused by different academic locations. In a fluid MAIS system, a student could hop from university to university doing the specific module they want. This could be the course that means the most of them as individual, the one which they believe will improve their job opportunities, or perhaps it's just a way to try new activities and learn about abstract concepts. This allows more varied communication among students, an increase in cultural intake from visiting other areas, and reduces perceived hierarchies of institutions, such as one university being preferred over another. Rather than, oh, I went to Cambridge, it would be a mix of many different locations and people. Arguably, the closest practice we currently have to one with MAIS cross-university capabilities are exchange student schemes, and these have been shown to increase deeper understandings of culture, academic participation, and the hidden barriers around education such as socialization of academic norms. In a similar fashion to the barriers mentioned previously, the hierarchy of ages and levels could also be removed in this system as well. It would no longer be a segregation of first, second, and third years, but rather a mixture of every level, with PhD and master's students being allowed to participate in modules as well to further their understanding of topics. This promotes continuous learning and can remove emotional and verbal barriers by allowing everyone to interact. Work by Northam suggests that environments which are multi-generational have greater benefits than environments which aren't, stating that opportunities for internal mentoring exist, and collective varying backgrounds and experiences result in better outcomes. There is also the possible issue that less experienced individuals may feel underappreciated or overlooked when compared to older, potentially more experienced individuals. However, it could be argued that experience is different depending on an individual's generation, and that younger pupils may have more contemporary experience and skills which also could be shared, such as the ability to use newer technology and work with and understand younger individuals. However, it would make sense if exceptions within the system existed, such as if a module needed prior training or safety qualifications, or if a module leader requested more qualifications before being allowed to join the course. A module's appeal may often be based on the lecturer teaching them, rather than just the course or field they teach. Burke details the want of learners to be taught by individuals they consider to be famous, as students believe this gives an institution prestige and is a driving force for attending lessons. Having a glamorized module system where specific teachers are sought out for may increase the individuals want to learn from the best, and since each module could be very specific, many best lecturers could exist. As such, May could create an environment where each lecturer keeps trying to improve so they can become the best in their niche. As a result, improving their work and increasing their motivation, as well as give a reward system for these lecturers trying hard in their fields, such as people increasingly wanting to learn from them, which may result in increased funding and recognition. This lecturer-focused system would also be beneficial for academics, as it would provide more jobs to those who have a specialty in some regard. Due to the nature of niche skills and ideas not often being widely needed in workplaces, May could allow other individuals to incorporate these specific skills into their overall repertoire of knowledge and practices. This allows niche ideas to be propagated and expanded upon via increased exposure through lectures and seminars. Also, some professionals may not feel comfortable in every aspect of their careers either, and focusing on their niche allows these professionals to share their skills without being penalized or ostracized due to their lack of skills in other areas. Additionally, in an environment where pupils have many different backgrounds and levels of proficiency, the students may also be able to improve the lecturer's research or work. The specific nature of May modules means that pupils may have an increased interest in their field when compared to the current university course set up in the UK, and as such may have increased enthusiasm and engagement. This increased interest would be due to students needing to specifically choose the modules, rather than them being assigned within a course or as a possible choice out of a limited pool of options. This increased engagement could mean that students in the May system may perform better, as positive engagement has been shown to increase academic results in general. This enhanced academic ability could prove useful to lecturers, as it may mean these students have the ability and drive to improve and build upon the niche areas which the lecturers are teaching, in turn improving the lecturer's expertise. In a May system, the lecturer would not only know what they're talking about, but rather be the people that brought the ideas forward in the first place or have already made a contribution to the field. As such, they could be considered the ideal individuals to share the information, since they would know about it firsthand and be passionate about the subject. This may encourage students to participate more and ask questions, as the lecturer would likely be able to answer them. While this could lead to bias from lecturers as their work isn't being filtered via other individuals before it arrives at the students, it would make sense if only peer-reviewed work would be allowed at courses, and additionally with students taking many modules, it would lend to getting alternative points of view regardless. May wouldn't be unregulated, as a governing body such as the Department of Education would need to supervise which courses are taught to students. However, as a whole, the system would need to be less controlled when compared to our current course-oriented system in order to function efficiently and give students control over their learning. Due to these modules being based on lecturers rather than just courses, May would need to have their times and schedules based on when the lecturers could teach. As such, lecturers' schedules would need to be made available before students accept a May course. This would mean there wouldn't be as many scheduling conflicts in a more chaotic system, as students would be able to make their own schedules work. Having no real fixed terms or timescales means degrees would become more flexible for students. Each learner can take their professional and academic lives at their own pace. 2 years, 10 years, or indefinite studying would all be acceptable. Additionally, having a more open system would allow funding to be a lot more manageable. Currently, a year of studying in the UK costs around £9,250, with on average 6 separate modules being taught a year. While funding in a system like May would probably change dramatically compared to what we currently have, in a scenario where modules cost £1,500 each, it still allows individuals to save up for modules realistically. This can cause slow and gradual job responsibility and pay increases, rather than big leaps caused by having bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degrees, which may be seen as unachievable by some due to time, funding, and the skills needed to participate in university. With lecturers deciding the location and times of when and where their modules will take place, it would make sense if they would also be able to decide their room preferences, rather than having standardized classrooms or lecture halls. Edwards spoke about classrooms being the third teacher, meaning that these spaces could also be considered avenues for learning, rather than just a space for the people teaching within them. If a lecturer had the ability to give their room an aesthetic that matched their professions and appropriate resources within the room, then this may potentially open further learning possibilities in the space and make lecturers more inclined to use the room efficiently. This idea has been opposed by individuals such as Hacker, who believe that rooms should be a resource for the entire community, and as such would need to be available for many different purposes, which may be hindered by specialized rooms. However, May removes the idea of community in the traditional sense. Rather than people going to their local university in order to attend the options available there, they would need to look for specific people and courses. This searching means that students would need to move from location to location, rather than being contained within one area or community. Lecturers having access to and providing specific resources to others also allows highly specialized skills to be transferred in a tactile manner, rather than purely through textbooks and lectures. Fraser said that with teaching, the whole process has to be led by the curriculum, and if the curriculum revolves around the equipment and other specific resources, then it would make sense for teaching to be led by said resources as well. The hope of May is to produce a school for everyone. The issue we now face is that an education system for everyone isn't possible in the UK's current overly structured system. On a base level, every student is different. Their makeup, from environment to genetics to culture to personality, all differ on an individual level. Going further, economic and ability levels also differ tremendously across the student population. However, all these students still need to pass specific criteria and at a base pace if they want to have the same opportunities as other students. As such, it could be argued that not only would the current system have the effect of impeding individuals within it, but also potentially result in a monochrome society, where diversity of people is limited and ideas are standardized. However, since the current education system has been the way it is for most of contemporary society, this has had a heavy impact on the formation of society as well. Examples of where this would apply is job creation and selection, societal hierarchy through academia, and perceptions of purpose. As such, the modern world needs the current education system in order to function without disruption. The introduction of May would not only need the school system to change, but would rather need society's entire system to be transformed so it can be fully realized. Arguably, the largest aspect which would need to change in terms of society is giving companies and groups more choice of who they hire except for particular roles. Rather than employers having several candidates with similar degrees and experiences competing against one another, an in-depth look into an individual will need to be executed in order for successful hiring processes to take place. It could be argued that people more suitable for roles will be selected, who may stay onto their position for longer periods of time since they were hand-picked by scrutinizing methods. This, in turn, making people feel less dispensable and in turn making them more integral to society. In a May system, people wouldn't be faceless entities with degrees, but rather a story of different courses and paths building up an individual. To conclude, it could be argued that May would result in a more carefully selected workforce, and by extension, a happier society. Dropping out or incomplete degrees would become a concept of the past, as May degrees never truly have an endpoint. The barriers between PhD and undergrads also start to fade away, as the distinction between these groups would no longer be set by standardized boundaries, possibly resulting in more cooperation in shared environments. Individuals will be allowed to become well-rounded, investigating any type of idea which interests them, or specialize in very niche areas. These niche interests would be taught by the individuals who pioneered them, giving researchers more funding, interest, and feedback. It would allow these individuals to continuously work towards their passion without needing to be good at every aspect related to their fields. These teachers would be allowed to work with as many students as they wanted, in whichever environment they felt best suited the job. These environments would allow different ways of teaching and may have specialized environments and scenarios which students may not have the ability to interact with if it had not been for the course. Students would be allowed to take different modules at their own pace, which would allow for gradual improvements to their skills, understanding, and job prospects. Because currently, the job situation is a difficult one. Every year, thousands of people graduate with the same qualifications, with very few indicators separating them, other than where they got their degrees and the people they know. Additionally, the job market is very competitive, with funnels which only look for the best of the best. Maze would allow individuals to shine through in this system, as these generic funnels would no longer apply. For this to truly happen, many areas in society would need to change as well, potentially causing complete systematic disruption. However, there are many areas in our system which could be seen as harmful, and as such, this may be worth it.